So instead of poker chips and dollars, take dollars and gold. And we're pretty much in the same scenario. So, Jerome Powell, you could think of as the floor manager. He's the one trying to keep the vendors happy, trying to keep the people happy, but keeping them in the system is key, because the chips cannot be redeemed for their face value, right? The poker chips cannot be redeemed for, whatever they say they are. And just like that, the dollar cannot be redeemed for $42 an ounce or anything.
Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Phil Lowe. I had him on last Sunday on the live stream with Rafi and Clive. Phil, welcome to the channel.
Thanks, Mario. Good to be on.
You're welcome. So Phil's background is a master's degree in economics from George Mason University, which is actually an Austrian school-based degree. And he also taught AP economics in South Korea, and you're now a programmer. So maybe you could go a little bit over your background and what AP economics means and what they failed to teach you at George Mason as well about money.
Oh, sure. So I did get a master's degree at Mason. I was there for about 6 years. I think I took a year off somewhere in there to go find myself, but it's a very heavy Austrian education. So you learn Mises and Hayek and all those good people, and they have their own as well, like Vernon Smith and James Buchanan. At least they had them. They've since those two have since passed on. And AP economics is just it's advanced placement. It's like college credit high school courses. So I was teaching an elite high school in South Korea, and you take the high school course and you get college credit in most colleges if they accept it. But as I said before, I think when I was speaking with you, I must have slept through the part where they went over Rothbard and gold is money and the promises for money and stuff. We always, at least in the classes that I took, we always took the dollar as sort of this ethereal substance of purchasing power, and it was never really gone into where it came from. So that this gap, I had my economic puzzle was 98% complete, but I always wondered how does money work? Where does the power come from? What is this? And I was like everybody else. I'm like, well, stuff kind of works. Everyone's using it. I mean, sure, they seem to be printing too much of it, but I don't, I'm just one guy. What can I do? And then in 2020, during the unspecified virus that we all remember, I saw the money print and I said, it doesn't take a smart guy to say this is going to be inflationary. It's going to be massively inflationary. So I just started following other channels, and then I got involved with the Wall Street Bets made the news. I mean, it was this big thing that made the news. And I didn't get involved in Wall Street Bets. I was short squeezing GameStop stocks. I mean, this is silly. But I went to, I heard about Wall Street Silver because I was following Wall Street Bets. And then I found Rafi on Wall Street Silver, and I started binge watching all his content. And then his stuff put the final piece in the puzzle, and the revelation, the picture was revealed, and it was a nightmare. I mean, it's not a happy picture. It's a very scary picture, actually. But being able to see what it is allows you to act upon it. And so I started binge watching everyone on YouTube and Rumble and anyone wanting to talk finance. And I realized there's 1,000 different voices in the space. I mean, maybe more, tens of thousands of different people with their own opinions in the space. And why, and some of them have very different opinions. I mean, there's crypto bulls, there's, I think Harry Dent or something his name, he's promoting long bonds. There's all these people, and they all have contradictory ideas. And logically, if you follow the Austrian school, which I think is correct, I mean, it's not just a belief system or a mantra or something. It is, there's a logical foundation. You can see that people like you and Roth are the most correct. And there's a bunch of people who are right for the wrong reasons. And I have a little side story for that, if I may. When my son's 10 years old now, when he was 2, he was obsessed with hot air balloons. I mean, as only a 2-year-old can be. So we would go to festivals and we'd watch documentaries on hot air balloons and just, music videos of hot air balloons, anything hot air balloon related. And we would watch this documentary over and over and over again, where they talk about the mechanics of flight, of lighter than air flight. And they talked about the other kind of balloons that could go up in the sky. So there was hydrogen balloons and helium balloons and hot air. And those are the three that can get above. Those are the three types of lighter than air flight. Anyway, so my son, one day, we're outside. My son says to me, and the documentary talked about how hydrogen was dangerous because it's very flammable, and I think it showed the Hindenburg or something. So one day, my son turns to me and he goes, and he's two or three or something. He goes, "Daddy, the sun is made of hydrogen." And I go, "That's right." Now he is right, but his logical steps that he got to being right was incorrect, and I really, applying this to the modern phase, you could say like, oh, the dollar's dying and that, gold and silver are money, but you can come to the incorrect conclusion that something like Bitcoin is money, right? That would be like my son drawing the conclusion that say like, if the sun is made out of hydrogen, then the moon must be made out of helium, right? Because the hot air is taken up by the balloons and then the sun's hydrogen. So the moon must be helium. So there's a logical, if you have that logical flaw, even if you're a very, very smart guy, there's tons of very, very smart people. But if they have if they're missing that logical step where you're starting from the ground zero and building up, you can end up in the wrong conclusion where something like cryptocurrency is a money and we will somehow save you. So I decided to start a channel that would it would be very theory heavy. So, but I wanted it to be simple enough that any man can understand. I mean, I want a truck driver on a long route to be able to understand it. There's my channel. Yes. I want a truck driver who just has, he's driving from California to New York and he's got, several hours to kill and he wants to listen to my spiel. I wanted him to be able to understand it without having to go into like a master's degree of economics education. So I take these very, not too complex, but I take complex concepts like, sunk cost fallacies and things like that. And I apply them to real world, everyday conversational lessons that I teach on this class. And these are not, this course is not, or this channel, I should say, it's not like you and Rafi are doing, hot takes of the weeks and, what's going on in the current silver news and things like that. I'm not doing that. I'm teaching economics, and the foundation that I teach will hopefully show that you and people like you and Rafi and others are the correct voices to follow. So that's what I decided to do with my life.
And you're still working as a programmer?
I am. Yes, this is a side. Right now, this is a side project. I mean, if ITM Trading or somebody calls me up and they're like, "We need you to sell our silver full time," yeah, I'll talk to them about it. But for right now, this is just a hobby. I'm doing this in my free time for free. So.
And you're just doing it on Rumble, yeah.
Just on Rumble. I do have a backup on YouTube, but I don't. Yeah. The one thing I don't want is to become a professional YouTuber and then, quit my day job, start doing YouTube, and then suddenly I say the wrong thing and they're like, "Your channel's gone."
Yeah, I understand that.
Quit your job for no reason.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let me start on Rumble and I'll see if I can make it on Rumble if I want to try and do this professionally. But again, I have no plans to make this a professional deal. This is just if it does become something professional, that's fine. Right now, my wife is sponsoring me and she's selling T-shirts that she designs. And if users want to support me, they can buy a T-shirt off my wife. Is
it on the in the description?
Yeah, it's in the description of the chapters, episodes 11 and 12. I have my wife's.
So it's the Bitter Draught.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And just wanted to show you. I'm wearing this.
World Enslavement Forum.
Yeah, and this is pretty cool. It's I've got a link if people are interested in the description of all my new videos. It's called Wide Awake Clothing, and I didn't realize the person there contacted me and they said, "Oh, we got some money to pay you," because I bought that and they gave me like an affiliate link and I put it and they said, how can we pay you? And I gave them my PayPal email, and they said, unfortunately, we can't use PayPal because they banned us. So they're doing something right. So yeah,
that show you right there. Yeah, I don't want to mess with that. Like, I got a good thing going right now. I don't want to necessarily strike out on my own to and then start dealing with that kind of nonsense.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I haven't had a problem with YouTube except for one video they deleted a couple of years ago, and I didn't really say anything bad. I just, but anyway, Phil, maybe you could go over, because I thought that was a really good way of explaining what's going on with the financial system, the monetary system, when you spoke to Rafi. And for the viewers, Phil is he met Rafi because he's a subscriber to the Endgame Investor newsletter, which Rafi writes. And then he did an interview with Rafi a couple of months ago, which I've listened to a few times. And I think you guys should too. It's interesting. And you talk about the casino parable to try to explain to people what's going on in our monetary system. And I thought that was a really good way to, good analogy. That's what a parable is, I guess. So if you could go over that, that would be good.
Sure, I can do that again. One of my episodes covers it as well. I apologize. I'm getting over this very long running cold, and I keep apologizing in my videos. It's hacking and coughing. So if you imagine you're driving through Nevada and you pass by a casino in Reno or something, and you say you're just feeling, the moment seizes you and you're feeling frisky and flush, and you decide to walk in, and you take out $1,000 in poker chips. You swipe your card or give them cash, and they give you $1,000 in chips. And you walk in, you gamble, and you have a great night. You're doing, you go up maybe 10 times, right? So you've made like $10,000. And you had a few drinks and finger shoot some people. You're doing great. And you go to cash out, and the floor manager walks up to you and he goes, Mr. Mario, we'd love for you to, Mr. Neko, we'd love for you to stay another night. We love having you here, and you're doing, you're very charming and personable, and we think you bring a lot to this casino. So we'd like you to stay another night, and we'll give you 5,000 chips gratis. And, you can spend them over at the vendors over here. So there's these vendors in the casino, and they come from outside, but they will take the poker chips, and their plan is they're going to take the poker chips and redeem them for cash when they leave. But the players, all the gamblers are busy. They don't want to, deal with cash and stuff. So they'll pay with the poker chips, right? That's the currency inside the casino. So you say, oh, well, that's how can I refuse a deal like that? So you stay the night, you call your wife, and you're like, babe, I'm winning big in Vegas. I don't know how my wife wouldn't take that very well. I don't know how yours would.
Yeah, my wife wouldn't. She wouldn't be impressed.
So I'm going to stay the night, and I'll be back tomorrow. And then you go and you buy some things. You buy some things that you wouldn't normally buy, but you're feeling very flush because you're winning. And so you buy a fur thing for your neck or something, or a fancy hat, maybe a cane with a silver tip. Just because you're feeling like a winner, right? And the vendors sell it to you, and the next day you wake up and you go down and you're hitting it big again. You're making another 5x or 10x. So you've got $50,000 in your pocket, and you're having a great time. And you notice you look around and everybody in the casino is winning. Like, everybody's doing great. And you're like, how is this casino gonna go out of business? And you buy some things from the vendors, but you do notice something. You notice the vendors' price in chips have gone up since the night before, because they have a lot of customers who are buying things with chips, and they have to use their wealth to go outside to get more items into the casino. So, but they haven't redeemed yet. The owner, the floor manager, brushed them off as well, gave them some excuse for why it couldn't redeem. So they're like, well, okay, we're going to redeem later. let's bring in the inventory and sell it, and we'll just increase the chip price. And all these people are flush with chips anyway, so they're drunk with chips. They're not going to care. So you notice the price is a little bit higher, but you're doing great. You don't care. You buy a $200 bottle of champagne or a $300 bottle of champagne. Pop it. You're drinking it there. You're spreading it among your friends, your new friends at the casino, and you go to cash out. And the floor manager comes to you again. He goes, Mr. Necco, we'd love for you to stay a third night. I mean, look how much fun everyone here is having. You're having a great time. We'll give you another 10,000 chips free if you stay one more night, right? So you're feeling, well, how can I refuse this place, right? So you call your wife again. You're like, babe, I'm up big, and I'm putting it all on red tonight. We're gonna have a great time when I get back. And you hear your wife screaming, but you put her off somehow, and you hang up the phone, and you finish the night, and you go up to bed, and you come down, and you notice the prices again have gone up significantly, but you win big on day 3. I mean, I'm talking, let's say you win $300,000, $400,000. I mean, money, that life-changing amount of money. And, you're thinking of all the things you're going to do when you get back. You're going to take your wife to, on a Caribbean cruise. You're going to, buy the car you've always wanted. You're going to pay off your house loan. If you have any kids, you're going to send them to college. And you go to cash out. And the manager goes, the floor manager says, Mr. Necco, we'd love for you to stay another night. And he's saying this to everybody too. And by this point, you're like, no, this is great money. I love it. I would love to stay more, but I want to get back to my wife and my family. My dog's waiting for me. I'm just going to cash out. And he said, no, Mr. Necco, we need you to stay another night. And you notice a little, like a bead of sweat trickling down his face. And he said, he's nervous. There's something going on here. And you press the issue, say, no, I need to check out now, right? And everybody's doing, the crowd is kind of clamoring around this floor manager as he's backing up, and he's like, no, listen. Everybody, if you stay, I'll give you 50,000 chips. No, 100,000 chips. No, 200,000 chips. And it slowly dawns on everybody about the same time. There's no cashing. This is the Hotel California. There's no cashing out.
Like QE, right?
Yeah, the owner of the casino has taken the wealth and left. And the floor manager is just there to keep the excuses going as long as he possibly can until everybody realizes it. Now, everybody's holding these big bags of chips that they can't cash out. So what's the next best thing they're going to do? They run over to the vendors as fast as they can with the bags of chips. And some of the vendors, the quick vendors, are like, no, they see what's going on. They pack their stuff in their trunks and they're leaving. Some of the slower ones might take a bunch of chips, hoping that maybe they can cash them in for something, but there's no cashing them in. And pretty soon the whole casino is realized to be a complete fraud, and everyone just goes empty-handed. And now you, instead of coming home with $300,000, you have to come home with minus a couple $1,000 and explain to your wife why you were gone for 3 days and lost some money, right? So if you want to extrapolate this one derivative, right? So instead of poker chips and dollars, take dollars and gold, and we're pretty much in the same scenario. So Jerome Powell, you could think of as the floor manager. He's the one trying to keep the vendors happy, trying to keep the people happy, but keeping them in the system is key, because the chips cannot be redeemed for their face value, right? The poker chips cannot be redeemed for whatever they say they are, and just like that, the dollar cannot be redeemed for $42 an ounce or anywhere close to it.
That's also the reason why they never talk about gold, and they don't like to talk about gold. They don't want to give people the idea.
I have a theory on this. That if they made, because gold is the price matrix, if they made gold illegal, one of the first things they did after they closed the gold window was legalize private ownership of gold again. Because if gold was actually illegal, it'd be much more expensive, because things that are illegal are more expensive. And if gold is the price matrix, then that would be extremely price inflationary, right? It would make everything else in the world more expensive. So what they have to do, they would love to do it. I mean, there's nothing they would love more than to have the World Economic Forum force you to use their, currency that's based on nothing that spies on you, but it's not physically possible to do that. So what they have to do is make gold legal, and they go, well, yeah, you can have that if you want. I mean, if you want those shiny yellow rocks, over in the corner, you're welcome to it. We don't care, but they do care. But they have to pretend, and there's very powerful forces that are out there trying to publishing and going on TV and saying, gold is a doorstop and, all these other investments will pay interest. The problem is, oh yes, gold is what is that? Oh, that's going gold. Yeah, you showed me that article.
Yeah,
or you've done that article on your channel, I should say.
Yeah, that's the FT in 2004, and gold was at $400. Can you imagine how many people probably didn't buy at the time because they read this? So.
Yeah, I was one. I remember this was in 2000. I was in the gym at George Mason, and there was another student there, and he was obviously wise to gold because we were talking about investment. Now, at that time, I was a college student. I had no money to invest anyway. We were just talking, but I guess he had a job of some kind. But he's like, I buy gold, and I remember very specifically thinking like, what a fool, right? That doesn't generate anything. What are you just going to put it in your basement and have it sit there? And I remember thinking like, we should, you should put it into stocks and bonds and stuff. And then like 6 months later was the crash of 2008. So, but I still didn't learn, this is a lesson for everybody. I didn't know what was going on until silver squeeze, really. I mean, I wasn't paying attention. So, just because sound like I'm making sense right now, like this is all very recent knowledge that I learned myself. And you can empower yourself and learn as well. Never stop learning, as they say.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said with Rafi that you felt like you had a moral duty to tell people about getting gold and silver. And of course, I try to if people ask me, I tell them about it. But unless they ask me, I don't try to tell people because it's none of my business. But
well,
how can you tell us a little more about that? Yeah, I think you're right though, because it's like you said, and you can give the Titanic analogy as well.
Sure. I don't have I don't proselytize, like I'm, knock on people's doors and say, excuse me, have you heard about silver, our Lord and Savior? But I will, I'll carry around a silver round like this. And yep, I'll carry around a silver round, and I'll go to I remember I went to Five Guys Burgers, and I was just joking around. I was like, "Hey, you mind if I pay in silver?" And the kitchen staff, the host said, "Oh, what's that?" And looking around, and the kitchen staff all came over. So this stuff will sell itself. Like they were ready to take the silver. I wasn't serious about it at the time. I have since bought. If I do buy something with silver, I will film it. And I went to a farmer's market, and I traded for silver for like a big basket of produce. And I just wanted to encourage people, like, keep a little silver, because, if the farmer in an in-game scenario, the farmer's big problem is he's going to have crops in his field that he can't get rid of. And the people in the cities won't have ability to get to the food. So, if you show up with one of these, like, forget a basket, he'll fill your car to bursting with produce. He's like, please take it all. It's just rotting in my field. I'll take your silver for it. So, I don't proselytize, like, if somebody's like not interested, I'm not like, oh, we must talk about silver. But yeah, if I'll whip it out in a conversation, I'll whip out a coin or a round, and people are very drawn to it. It's
I like talking as well sometimes at the till. Here in England, if I pay with a banknote or a pound bill or dollar, not dollar bill, and sometimes they look at it to see if it's counterfeit. They go, I tell them they're all fake anyway, and they look at me, and then I try to explain to them that there's nothing
under it.
Because we still have on the Bank of England note, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of. I try to tell people that, and they're all like, oh, that's interesting. So
I mean, it's for most people, and most people, they don't, they have I have a day job. I just happen to like, for something inside me makes me want to watch finance videos in my free time. I don't know. Other people want to watch dramas. My wife has seen, I've tried to show you and Rafi and people like that to my wife, and she's
yeah.
Not interested at all. She's like, you handle that stuff. I'll design the t-shirts, So there's a people with a certain mindset that appeals to. Most people they're just going to wait until, unfortunately, until it's, going to be almost too late or too late to
Yeah,
do.
and people always seem to want to know when, but that's very hard.
Yes.
I think there are symptoms of that tell you not just economic, but societal and
Yeah,
culture.
London, England looks like it's doing even worse than America. I don't know. Your house looks, nice and cozy. I don't know. When you walk outside, is it a war zone or something? Or
No, where I live is quite nice. I
are you
mean,
in London?
yeah, but more in the outskirts.
Okay.
I wouldn't, it's not bad. I think a lot of times we see in the news, there
Yeah,
are
you always see what
they
if it bleeds, it
exaggerate,
leads. Yeah.
they exaggerate, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things going on with all the woke agenda that remind me of if you look at history, for example, during the Byzantium Empire, towards the end, when the Ottoman Turks took over Istanbul. I think the emperors in Byzantium were deciding whether saints were going to be masculine or feminine. They're arguing over things that weren't important. And I feel it's the same thing nowadays.
There's a lot of parallels. Definitely a
Yeah,
lot.
a lot of parallels. But I think the important thing is to be prepared because these things happen very quickly, and if you're a day late, you won't be you won't be able to get your gold and silver. So that's why I think it's important to have some.
That's my question for a lot of the people. If you watch, I'm going to name some names, and I respect these people quite a bit. They're very good, very smart. But I have a question. Someone like Heresy Financial. I don't know if you've seen him on YouTube. He's very good. He sees the crash coming, but he's selling an investment plan of like how to short, basically how to short a market. Like if you think the market's going to go down, how do you short it? And my question is, if this is the end game, like short of burying gold in a field, like there's nothing. Even if you win big, the counterparty will have nothing to pay you with,
Yeah,
nothing of value to pay you with. So like
I think you got to be careful with that
it's gonna
because
it's gonna be like
shorting the market is like having a derivative, and usually there's a counterparty to it.
yes,
And you might want to do it, but I would risk a small percentage of your savings on that. I remember in March 2020, I had a few VIX VIX calls on the stock market, and I did really well in the beginning. When the stock market crashed, the VIX volatility went up, and I did well. But then when it got really like bad, the broker that I use on screen, it just froze and I couldn't get into my account. And then by the time I could get into my account, the market had calmed and the prices of what I had dropped.
yeah.
So yeah, that I agree with you. Yes, maybe, yeah, do a little bit of what Heresy Financial is saying, but I think counterparty risk will be huge. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, if this is an end game, it's gonna be like I mean, it's gonna be just wild.
yeah.
As a public stacker, are you? I mean, are you worried like people coming after you? Like that guy's got some stacks. Like go after him.
Well, I mean, I try to keep, I don't keep everything.
Yeah, no one does. Yeah, keep it vaulted
And I
and
don't, I don't think people know where I live.
yeah.
So, and yesterday I went to London, central London, and I went to a really nice coin shop, and it was the first time that someone actually recognized me from watching the videos. So, it's not like I go out there and everyone knows
Yeah,
me.
sure. I mean, in America, I'm an American, so we have personal protection devices that we have access to, but I don't.
Yeah, here you
Hopefully, none of that comes to it. But just do they do? Are you allowed to in London? I don't know.
yeah, I mean you can have you can get a license for that.
License for that. Okay.
Yeah, but
A license for that.
yeah, but yeah, you need a license. But I think there's some really bad shooting in Scotland back in the 90s. school shooting, and after that they required you to have a license. And the tennis player Andy Murray, he was in that school, so that's one of the things that happened. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the thing about the money as well that you were talking, that I remember when I was in high school in Brazil. I went to the American high school in Brazil, and I had an economics class. I don't think it was an AP because I didn't get credit for college, but when we asked the teacher what money was, she kind of just went, yeah, money is like, she just didn't, she kind of avoided it.
Yeah, that's what I do. I didn't know either. My
But
students would
if
ask.
I've kind of told people to read What Has Government Done to Our Money by
That's great.
Rothbard, and that's a really good book. It's basically, it's a step from barter to indirect exchange. That's what money is, the most marketable commodity. Just wanted to tell the viewers. I don't know if you've read this article here. I'm going to share it in here 1 second, because it's really good. It was written by Congressman Howard Buffett, who happens to have been Warren Buffett's father. And this was written in 1948, and it said human freedom rests on gold redeemable money. So I highly recommend this.
That's funny because I don't think Warren Buffett's much of a gold bull, is he?
No, he's usually critical of it. He says,
Yeah.
you dig it out of the ground and you put it in the vault, but he doesn't understand that that's what money is. Money is, you're not supposed to consume money. It's supposed to sit there and do nothing, but it keeps its purchasing power. But what's interesting is that he talks about, here he goes, paper systems end in collapse. He goes on to say as well that, usually it's people like Lenin, Mussolini, and Hitler that outlaw gold ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And he says as well that, the taxpayer gets ripped off because government doesn't have much limit. The central bank prints and they can spend. So here's the, raids on the treasury, taxpayer, the forgotten man. And I think, Rafi spoke to you about that, if we can stop the fiat game, they'll have a lot less power. And I think that's what Howard Buffett meant by that, human freedom. And is it any wonder that we have less and less freedom now after, well, I guess the U.S. went off gold domestically in 1933.
Yeah.
And
there were these in the Industrial Revolution, there were these like mining towns in Pennsylvania and West Virginia and stuff, and you'd go and work, laborers go work for them, and they would pay in corporate script, which was only good in the corporate store. So you couldn't.
It's like a casino, isn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't leave it. I mean, the money, your dollars wouldn't even get you gas to get out of that damn town.
Yeah, so
that is the tool of enslavement, is forcing you to use. Now, I do want to give an optimistic message to everybody. Like I know it feels like you have your World Enslavement Forum shirt. It feels like these people are just slowly getting more and more and more powerful. You cannot be forced to use a fake currency forever. It's not possible. They could keep going for a while, and maybe longer than any of us would like, but it is not possible to keep it going forever. It is simply, it's a physical impossibility. As I explained on my channel, it's literally a Ponzi. People say, when people say, oh, gold's a scam, gold's fake, gold's a Ponzi. Like, I don't mean that it, like, it's a scam, or, I do mean that, but it's literally a Ponzi scheme where the growth rate must increase at an exponential rate. They must print more and more and more money, or more dollars, and have more and more and more debt at an exponential rate. And I explain this in my channel. So they don't have power. And this is another viewer. This is why I have my channel. There's another YouTuber named Gregor Mannarino, who, again, I very much respect, and his instincts are excellent, except for crypto. He's wrong on crypto. But otherwise, his instincts are excellent, except the conclusion he draws is that the central banks are the masters of the universe, and that they are on a quest for total power and total control, and they're going to get it. That's, in my view, that's not correct. They are slaves to their Ponzi, the same way Bernie Madoff was a slave to his Ponzi, And sure, he lived a very lavish life, and he was the toast of the town. But every night when Bernie Madoff went to bed, he didn't go to sleep. He was staring at the ceiling like,
Yeah.
I need to come up with $40 million tomorrow, or this whole thing blows. And that was every night. Every night he's like, okay, I come up with 42 million tonight, right? So the Federal Reserve is exactly the same. Jerome Powell has to say, I have to, come up with 4 quadrillion US Treasury dollars or whatever tomorrow. Federal Reserve notes tomorrow. This whole thing blows. And when he gets out and he's like, the banking system is strong and resilient, he knows that's not true. He knows it.
Well, you said, I think you said that we don't have a banking system, and
we don't. Yes, there's not.
There is no real money in the bank, is there?
If you go to a pawn shop and you say, "Hey, would you vault my gold for me?" That is much closer to what a bank is than a. But we are.
I think, like you said earlier, Jay Powell is the casino manager. I think the people who are getting enriched are the people close to the central banking cartel, the very wealthy.
The Cantillon effect.
They have access to that fake currency, and they buy real assets. But the central banks, they are a conduit to that. But the central bank themselves, and the central banker, they don't have the wealth, but they help the people.
They get some of it. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. They get some of it. As I explained, I think Elon Musk is a unwitting beneficiary of the Cantillon effect. The Fed prints the notes, and it enters the system, and people, and the government has the other side of that. So they issue the treasuries, and so the government gets the money, and they spend it on electric car subsidies. They said, we're going to pay everybody.
They bailed out Tesla.
Yes, we'll bail out the companies. And the money and the dollars into the system, which causes asset inflation as well. So people get their dollars, and they see that Tesla is getting subsidized, so they go and buy Tesla stock, and so they're getting benefits from both ends of this money print, a dollar print, and the Tesla stock goes through the roof. Elon Musk looks like the smartest man who ever lived, and he is a very smart guy. I'm not dogging him for that. But the Tesla gets bumped up to 10 times the value of Ford and General Motors combined, even though it produces a tiny fraction of the cars. So that right there is a crystallization of the Cantillon effect, where just the money print just goes, and it goes in weird directions sometimes.
Yeah. So Phil, just wanted to wrap up.
Oh, sure.
Touch upon though something you said. When you spoke to Rafi, and I thought that was kind of quite not scary, but quite a good. I don't know. It's just like you said. How poor are we really? When the whole of society realizes that the casino has no dollars, and this is like, a lot of people think there are trillions, quadrillions of dollars out there. I think a lot of billionaires are going to find out that they're not billionaires anymore, and it's going to be it's going to be an ugly situation, I think, for the whole world. So maybe you could touch upon.
Yeah, I literally had a panic attack. I mean, I watched. I told Rafi this. I watched a video. The moment when it all clicked, and it clicked more instinctually than it did logically at that time. I was watching him and I think David Kranzler and Brian Keynes. It was on Arcadia Economics. I was watching a roundtable that they were having, and they were talking about silver going to the moon, and and I had bought some silver at the time, so I was in this, but I hadn't fully stacked yet. But I bought a little bit of silver. And they were talking, and they all sounded like they were at a funeral, and I was like, "What is going on here? Why? Like, we're talking about we're all going to be rich. Like, why are you guys acting like this?" And then it slowly dawned on me, like, they're talking about a hyperinflation. And I'm like, a hyperinflation of the dollar. And then, and it slowly started churning. And I didn't sleep that night or the next night or the third night. And I went to I was like, my chest was full flight or flight for 3 days. And I went to the doctor, and I was trying to explain, and I hadn't slept in 3 days. I looked totally strung out. I must have looked like a meth head, trying to explain like silver and the end of economic crashes and stuff. And they just prescribe these Xanax, and they're like, "Get the hell out of here." But yeah, once you process that, once I processed that, and I talked to my wife, and I was like, this looks like it's going to happen. We need to prepare. We need to warn everybody. That's the moral duty. That's the moral duty, I think. I mean, if you see a bus coming, you have a moral duty to pull some of these out of the way of the bus if you can, without endangering yourself, of course, or if you want to be brave enough to endanger yourself. But at least say, "Excuse me, sir, there's a bus about to run you over." So I said, I have to let people know if they can. Now, I might just be talking to a bunch of people who are already stacking. I don't know if I'm getting out to the normies or not. I hope I've converted at least a couple people. But yeah, no, it's very scary when you think about it. Like when you think, like, if everything is a promise for gold, if your 401ks and your pensions and your retirement plans and Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and the NHS in England, all that stuff is dependent on this stuff being the currency being real, and then it's suddenly revealed to be not. I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's a website called fxtop.com, and you can look at all the currencies back to, like, most of them back to 1953. And what you can do, you can put the currency first. Let's say the dollar first, and then the gram of gold second, because usually when we talk about the price of gold or silver, it's gold versus the dollar, so 1900. But if you put the dollar first and the gram of gold, you see that since, let's say, 1971, when Nixon took the dollar off the Bretton Woods gold exchange, the dollar's dropped 98%. The pound has dropped like 99. So we've only got 1 or 2% left, but I think it could it could drag on for a while longer.
They might stretch. I don't know. I mean, if looking at the charts, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's like, something's wrong. Everyone realizes there's something wrong with the dollar.
Yeah.
Trying to get off of it. They don't know how.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get off of it pain-free is the problem. What they don't realize is that, like, no, we're gonna go through this. This is
even the BRICS and the other countries that are joining BRICS.
They're trying to. They're all. The problem is they're all Keynesians. What they want is just to use their local currency. Yeah. They don't want to have to go back to gold. They don't want their peasants using gold. Are you kidding me?
No, I agree with you. And even though they've been buying gold, but I think they see the writing on the wall.
Yes.
And that's why they want to use their own script, to exchange things. But anyway, Phil, it was great speaking with you, and hopefully
anytime
back on again. Let me know, and let me know if you want me to come on your Rumble channel as well.
I've been thinking, yeah, I have enough subscribers. I used to have 8 followers, and now I have 213 thanks to YouTube. So now I can do live streams. So I might do that. I'm gonna start a Rumble live stream roundtable or something.
Great. So right. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you later.
Sure. Thanks, Mario. Take care.
You too. Bye.